And then when Jon Snow said...
Oh, whoa.
Actually, the series will be done by the time this one comes out.
Well,
That's
really?
a good point, actually. Yeah, I thought your strategy of asking people when spoilers are allowed was...
Everyone is yelling at me.
Everybody's got their opinions.
Oh, shit. And
Mine was,
strong opinion.
once it's aired... I don't think I sent it to you because I was just flicking through, but once it's aired around the world, I think it's fair game. Over 1 billion people, if you include pirating people, 1.2 billion people watch the show. And it's like, look, man, there's too much going on in the world for me to think about when you're happy that I can talk about Game of Thrones. Can I talk about Independence Day now? Is that okay?
I liked the one guy who said, a week after the airing of the episode. When the next episode is out, it is okay to talk about the previous episode.
No, don't go on social media then. That's my thing.
Yeah, that was Mieka's thing too, and she was like super angry about it. But I'm like, you know what? Honestly, when it comes to spoilers, I have no problem in a room with everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when is it okay to post it? Because that stuff's going to get up there. It's going to end up in searches that you don't mean it to.
And there's always
BuzzFeed is going to steal it and post it.
Yeah,
right?
there's always the creep, like people will like the meme, the hint, like you had to have been there to see it, and then it just creeps a bit more. Then there's like a little spoiler.
There's something I have not seen, and by the time this airs, I could probably say this. I haven't seen Endgame yet, and this picture of a rat keeps on popping up on my feed, and I'm like, I don't care, and I'm moving through it. I know a rat plays in some way, shape, or form.
Rocket Raccoon, you fool.
Bradley Cooper, God bless him.
The man he's a national treasure.
Yeah. He's an international treasure.
I'd say international.
Is he ours?
Multimedia.
No.
He's American through and through, man.
Oh.
That's too bad.
But he's so nice, and he's rarely loud or crass.
Have you seen the Hangover movies?
No, I guess. Yeah,
he is both loud and crass in those movies.
Yeah, he is. That's phenomenal, though.
Okay, we should actually do a real cold open. Is that what we're doing?
Well, this is the cold open.
Is it? Okay, because I really thought
we can start
BSing.
Anything that is Game of Thrones is Dungeons and Dragons.
It's relevant, though,
right?
what we're discussing, because today, are you ready? I'm going to start. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin.
No, these chairs suck ass.
Today, we're going to discuss...
Mine literally sucks ass. Continue.
Every time. Today, we're going to discuss Dungeon Mastery, stealing ideas, and sleight of brand. I'm just reading this for the first time.
I'm just loving that little R you're sneaking into ideas.
Oh my
God. That little R that you snuck in there.
Which R?
You said stealing ideas, and I was like,
Ideas? How do you say it?
Ideas.
It rhymes with...
That's the one you said?
It rhymes with Adidas.
That's not helpful.
Okay, where I come from in England, we actually say Adidas, but we're not going to... I swear to God.
What is wrong with your island?
I swear to God. And I remember coming to North America. I don't know, man. But that one I know is wrong. And everyone's like, Adidas? Like, as you guys speak. Like, do you like Adidas? And I'm like, I don't know. Is that a new app? Like, is that like Bumble or something? Anyway, okay.
I had a friend who moved over from South Africa, and he got no end of mockery because he's like, you guys want to go out and get some pizza? And we're like, what the hell is pizza? Makes no sense to us. He's like, wedges with bread with sauce and cheese. Oh, pizza? I
love it.
Yeah, we can go get some pizza.
But then Trevor Noah had a great point as well, where he was like, you can't just decide that it's called a zebra, it's our animal, and we say it's called a zebra. You can't just decide that it's called something else. Thanks, America. Anyway, roll the music.
Welcome to It's a Mimic with your DMs, Adam, Dan, and Terry.
That was the sloppiest cold open.
And we're back. No, what are you talking about? It's because David on the auto cue over here is not winding it on fast enough. Wind faster, David.
Yeah, fuck you, David.
You're lucky to be here. Okay? We can get someone else to work 13 hours a day for a free internship for a Canadian university.
And shave that goddamn beard, David.
Shave that beard. I don't care if you shaved 20 minutes ago.
And chop off that man bun, too. Oh.
No, my brother's name is David, and he listens to the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Shave your face, you damn hippie.
Beautiful. Oh, we're terrible at this. We might have to edit some of this. All right, guys, you ready to go? So, topic 1, let's talk inspirations. Where do we get our ideas from with regards to homebrew campaign settings, overarching plots, central conflicts, plot hooks, NPCs, pretty much whatever you guys want to talk about with regards to homebrewing and stealing ideas, we can roll for. And you can just go 4. See, I'm being assimilated. And then we'll just go from there. Are you ready? You guys have your dice?
Yep.
Let's go. 19.
And in the trend and the mind-boggling consistency, the DM goes first.
Yeah, which is me. So you guys don't get to speak today at all. My episode. Do you know where I take? Because I find that there's only so many story ideas in the world, really, before people can say, oh, well, that's just like a high fantasy.
You know, that's actually a theory in English literature. Shakespeare wrote every potential plot line that exists.
Yeah.
And everything else is just a rip-off of one of his stories.
Yeah, because you can only go so far.
Yeah.
So what I like to do, actually, is go back for older movies. I'm not talking like Breakfast at Tiffany's. I'm talking like The Jackal with Richard Gere and Bruce Willis or something.
You mean the late 90s? You mean the stuff that I grew up... Oh, man, I'm so old.
No, you're like about 20 minutes older than me, so that's fine. I'm the youthful one here, but in my other circles, I'm the oldest one. And I hate that.
I'm just saying. So wait. When you said old movies and you bring up The Jackal, you mean The Jackal as a newer movie than Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is a far older movie.
Yeah. So I wouldn't go that far back. Well, maybe for some.
Well, why not? I mean, you could go that far back for like Barbarella and stuff like that.
Well, I guess you could, yeah.
Really, I went like Romancing the Stone. I went Lawrence of Arabia.
I have a character that is 100%.
Barbarella.
But basically,
Can you blame me?
what I would do is essentially steal a plot idea and then reskin it for how it's going to work in my campaign and try not to make it so obvious. But I find that taken from an old movie as opposed to like The Avengers, for example, Endgame, now available in theaters, or maybe it's not now, I don't know. You're going to get away with that a little bit more because you understand that there's only so many story arcs out there. You got to take inspiration from things that haven't been seen in a little while. The 90s TV show Hercules or Xena Warrior Princess, for example.
Oh my god! And didn't Bruce Campbell have a very short-lived 2-season?
Did
one?
he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe he did, but I didn't realize it was him because I was watching it when I was younger.
It was in the
As
same.
Joxer? Is that who he was? No, that was the other Raimi brother.
I have no idea. It was so
another
long
one?
ago, but
I didn't know there was the first one.
I didn't know that there were any Raimis.
So his first name or his last name?
That there's Sam and something else Raimi.
There's Ivan, and there's at least one of Ted.
Ted?
Ted. Is the
Ted.
last
Yep.
name.
Yep.
I think they're like Baldwins. You're not exactly sure how many there is of them.
No, it
and they
really
all
throws
look
me
the
off.
same.
The Baldwin who plays Jane is not.
Adam Baldwin.
Adam Baldwin is not part of the Baldwin clan.
Now he says plays Jane like he knows. He expects everyone to know that he's talking about Firefly.
If you're listening to a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, you probably know. Like, that's the same
I
demographic.
find that like the older they get, the more they look like they're melting is with the Baldwins. But actually, I'm not
Yep.
sure which order they go in, to be honest.
How?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, back on topic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I take my plot ideas from Alec Baldwin, anything that Alec Baldwin's been in, and then I reskin it, and then I go from there. I find that's an easy way to do it.
For me, what I like to play into the tropes. So I like hitting those points that everyone is expecting. I'm currently, by the time everyone's listening to this, we're engaged in the campaign, but I'm currently building a campaign world that is very actively chasing certain tropes. Like the guy who runs the bank is this very, order-based, militaristic, almost very like, I keep on thinking like sharp angles to this guy.
Right.
Like that's who this guy is. And the voice. He's got that very like, nasally, high-pitched British, like high-end British voice that is just,
Did you say nasally and British?
Yes,
together?
yeah, nasally and British. So I can't do it now because I'm prepping it.
We speak from the front of our mouths. You speak from the back of your mouth. We go from our lips, but you guys are like back here, like right, like at the back. Like,
Well, just hold on a minute there.
it's on a minute.
Don't you know? Anyways, no, but so I like hitting the trope. So there is a frontier world that I'm calling Carson that is going to be very based off the Wild West. There's a wild jungle area that is very based off Chult, and we'll have monkeys and dinosaurs and various other things.
Didn't
that
you
will
just say
attack.
Wild West? And now we're dealing with monkeys and dinosaurs?
I've moved on from the Wild West
Okay,
trope.
all right.
But like the Wild West trope has prospectors and single road towns with old style saloons and stuffs in them. I'm trying to hit these tropes very specifically because I engage and devour quite a lot of media and I want to put most of that in. So Game of Thrones by the time this is released is done. I'm pulling the fact that there is
Spoiler alert.
Dragons.
dragon prophecy in my world. Currently, dragons are all gone, and I'm stealing that straight from Game of Thrones.
Okay, so you said that you lean right into the tropes, though, and I got to ask you, before I give my answer, I got to ask, where are you getting these tropes from? Because there are different tropes for different things. There are tropes for sci-fi, there's tropes for fantasy, there's tropes for fairy tales. Like, there are different kinds of tropes. Which ones are you grabbing from?
I'm focusing on the fantasy, high fantasy, those tropes.
Yeah.
And then I'm expanding into things like sci-fi and pulling in, these objects of high technology that people are discovering the abilities of as time progresses, like those kind of things. I'm pulling those in. An alien invasion I have planned loosely, so things like that.
I feel like an alien invasion needs to be planned quite heavily.
Well, I've said,
otherwise it's called crashing, Dan. They're crashing.
You've never seen War of the Worlds. One guy went, I imagine it's just like ours. And that was it. Fucked the whole thing up.
No, I've already placed mind flayers on one of the moons, and eventually they're going to leave the moon and come down. So, I'm planning these things out, and I'm pulling from as many sources as I can. I will take anything in to give anything out. Right? Just for my group.
Okay. For me, I moved to anthologies more than anything else because a lot of people will remember your overarching storyline of Lord of the Rings or even the Mission Impossible movies. You can grab whatever you want for I'm going to do spy and espionage stuff. People they're going to recognize it. But when you go far enough back and you grab Twilight Zone episodes or Star Trek episodes.
Oh, Twilight Zone, you said.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the zone. And I thought you just said Twilight for a second. I was like, what are we
when
doing?
all of my vampires are sparkling in the sunlight.
Where are we going? Okay.
All of his werewolves lose their shirts.
As is tradition.
Right?
Yeah.
That's probably should have happened. I completely understand it.
They point and go, werewolf and wear shirt. So,
Nice.
no, but I picked, they've got everything that has, the monster of the week feel to it. Early seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Supernatural.
Early seasons of Supernatural before they got really serialized. But even, you can go to, Quantum Leap for NBC
Oh,
stuff.
that show's so good.
Yeah, but every episode is something new. Go to that show Sliders.
Oh, yeah. Sliders was amazing.
And I will sit down because I've got just this massive library of media. And I will sit down and I will watch the first 5 minutes of an episode. That's all I need. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. And then I will hit another episode and I will just grab 10 or 15 things that I like and go, all right, which of these have natural synergy?
Yeah.
And throw them all together. Another thing that I really, really, really enjoy doing is legitimizing jokes in campaigns.
Yeah, you do. You like adding little references and
You do that.
hidden little riddles in there that you're just waiting for someone to catch on.
Names.
There's been times we drive away from our game on Sundays and Adam will be like, seriously, no one got this thing? Think about it, Dan. This thing. And I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I got Saint Daclaus for the longest time during the Christmas game.
Yeah.
I was and you did your big reveal. I was just pause. There's a ridiculous name. I don't understand it.
But no, there's you guys have fought actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf, right? But I didn't reveal that until after you had fought and killed him, despite the fact that you were walking through the woods by yourself late at night.
And he was brandishing a knife.
Yeah, and you guys actually there was kung fu fighting against him, but they also were you there? No,
I was not there
That
for
was
Shia
good.
LaBeouf.
That was a good encounter.
But there was the whole world was full of holes because he was in the movie Holes. There were all sorts of catapults, whatnot that stood up and were warforged because you fought Transformers. There was
Shit, is that what that was?
Yeah, they literally got a crystal skull. And nobody figured this out.
What movie's the Crystal Skull from?
It's from a
Indiana
draft.
Jones one?
No, it's from a draft of a script that no one ever made
Oh, okay.
for an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they denied it because they knew it would be bad.
No,
right
they
out of the
made
gate,
it.
right?
I watched it
No,
5 times.
Terry, they
did not
make it.
This is
Yes,
just like
they
episode.
did
This is
make it.
episode 1 all
What are
over
you
again.
talking
It's
about?
a shit movie.
It's my
it
favorite
deserves
one.
to be shit.
It's my favorite one. I watch it Christmas every year. I watch the Crystal Skull and then I watch the Phantom Menace every year.
Why do you do this to yourself?
And then the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
That's the best one. That's better than
Beholders are
one.
not guard dogs. Oh, I hate this.
Anyway, so yeah, but I will go and I will grab from anthologies, and you don't even have to grab it from TV shows. with kind of like random situation of the week, you can go back even and grab from the anthology movies, like the ABCs of Death. There's some weird body horror stuff you can grab from there. The VHS movies are all about like one wacky, random, bizarre horror bullshit thing happened. And if you sit down and watch it, your mind will turn to fuzz and don't watch it for enjoyment, but sit there and go, wow, I would have done this differently, and then do it differently.
Yeah.
Right. Take that and own it and make it your own. But anthologies are great because it's a small piece of a puzzle, and people often forget about it, especially the lesser known versions, right? Mm-hmm. So
there we go.
This episode is brought to you by wildbot3d.com. Condition markers, spell trackers, AoE templates, scatter terrain, and much more. Proudly made in Georgia and personally packaged and shipped worldwide. That's Wildbot3D, your home for quality 3D printed tabletop gaming accessories and terrain. Visit wildbot3d.com to purchase your new favorite accessories today. Wildbot3d.com. Wildbot.
Second of all, I want to talk about reskinning, reflavouring, adapting, and stealing. I got some ideas for this, but first, let's go to a commercial. And we're back. Pick up your dice. Let's do it. What is yours? Yours are 2? I guess I won this time.
You won with an 8.
I actually lost when we did the wrong one earlier.
When this weird editing thing happened.
This weird thing happened, but now we're back. Okay. So, what do I think about stealing ideas? I am, and I'll go on record, I don't care. No one can see my face, I can't prove it was me. I'll go on record saying, I don't give a shit if you steal stuff off the internet. It's the internet. That's what it's there for. If you're putting stuff on the internet, bragging, and you've made it so that I can get it, it's mine, fam. I'm taking it. And I'll try and find a way to get rid of your watermark as well, because it's interrupting my game, because people are reading your Insta handle. My point is, I don't think it really matters. If I'm taking some, it's like buying a pay-per-view and then inviting people around. Like, it's,
well, the thing is, like,
it in a closed environment, you know?
Chances are you're not Critical Role. Chances are you're not trying to make money off your game. It's a home game. Steal it. Use it. And I don't know anybody who doesn't go to Google Images and go half-orc barbarian when they've rolled up a half-orc barbarian.
This is what it looks
and
like.
look for the one flexing the way that they like, wielding the great axe the way that they like.
I'll draw it if you want me to, but it's going to look shit, and you're not even going to think it's a half-orc barbarian. You're going to think it's the Wicked Witch from the Wizard of Oz. So, like, but I may as well just pull it from the internet and go, I'm going to show my 5 friends who will never, reveal it to anybody. It's not going to hurt anybody. Here's a village, by the way. Don't worry about where that came from. I think it's fine. I would never claim it to be my own, as in go online and say, hey, I did this, because that's different.
Yeah.
But if you put it on the internet and I can click save image, I'm going to use it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. Like, I've gone online.
That's not your turn.
Is it not?
No, you rolled a 2. This it is known.
Oh, okay.
It is my turn. I know that you guys will agree on all of this. I think we're all going to come from the same place. But I want to talk real quick about there are really 4 different ways of stealing. So
there's mugging, there's pickpocketing, there's
home invasion,
and then white collar, like we're talking top end.
Yeah, 1%.
That was the Tim Allen sitcom. That was hilarious. I've spent so many hours of my life laughing at home invasion.
No, close.
No, hilarious.
No,
when he had that, he had that hammer. That episode where he had that hammer. Wrong again? Okay. You guys always let me go down by myself. Nobody ever jumps on the grenade. When Dan says something, I jump on the grenade. I'm like, I'll go down with you. When I say something, you guys are like, fuck you, Jerry,
I like to point out there have been many times you've taped a grenade to my chest at the same time.
Whatever.
Right. Yeah. Pushed me out to the wolves and been like, hey, there you go, bud. Have fun.
All right. So for those of you that
enjoy that shrapnel in your abdomen.
For those of you that listen to a D&D podcast, there are 4 different ways.
Alchemist's fire potion.
So there are 4 different ways of stealing, traditionally speaking. There's reskinning, reflavouring, adapting, and stealing. Okay? And reskinning is really straightforward. You mechanically take the exact same thing that is in the player's handbook, or the monster manual or the DMG, whatever it is, and you change the overall look of it, but mechanically, it's identical.
Yeah.
One of my favorite reskins, the thing that I'm working on right now for my next player character, I want to be a food mage. So instead of doing like acid splash, kind of, he's doing hot grease. Right, and so mechanically it's the same, but I've reskinned it, so everything he does has a food aspect. He doesn't hit you with fairy fire; he hits you with mustard, and so now when you're invisible, they can see you because you're covered in mustard. Right, like it's just kind of like ridiculous nonsense. I think he's going to be a lot of fun.
I love this guy.
You have
already.
a chef NPC in your campaign.
Yeah, I know. There's actually a couple.
There's a couple of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's more chefs now. Oh.
Yeah, so that's what reskinning. He's a wizard, but I'm just going to give him a
different flavor.
Yeah.
a different flavor, right? And so he'll probably be still an evoker, right? But I'm not going to call it that. He's going to be a line chef, right? So I'm just putting different words on the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So that's one way of stealing ideas.
That's easy to do with the standards like the veterans, gladiator, stat blocks, town
Yeah.
guards, and I think lots of times newer DMs don't realize they can do that. They're like, oh well, this NPC doesn't really fall under veteran. I'm not sure if I should do that.
Yeah,
you know,
but
Like the amount of times I've given like the head town's guard, the bandit captain.
Yeah, and exactly, and you'll see it in the modules as well, the printed modules, where it's like this particular NPC uses the gladiator stat block. They're not a gladiator; it's just what works best for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just the AC lines up, the multi-attack lines up, the number of hit points works out, right? Like, why wouldn't you just call it something else? And then there's reflavouring, which is when you would take your orcs and you go, you know what? I like these orcs, but I really need them to be from a desert tribe as opposed to planar or not planar, but from the plains.
Yeah.
Plains, or from like the forest or whatnot. I need them to be from harsh volcanic wasteland, right? So they're going to be orcs, and mechanically they're the same.
But they're just a little bit more gray or something.
But like their tactics are different. They're
So they're coming
ecology is different.
They're coming from a different standpoint, and I would maybe if they're coming from the volcanic wastelands and they've been there for generations upon generations, they've got resistance to fire. I've changed one thing, and they're pretty much identical. But there's just this one little thing that I'm going to throw in to make it a little bit different. This would be when my gnomes are all speaking Dwarvish, and there's an in-story reason for it.
Yeah.
But they're not your traditional gnomes, right? Then there's adapting. This is what I'm grabbing from previous editions or from Pathfinder, because there are so many monsters and powers and spells and abilities and auras. And
I miss
effects.
Rack. As a spell, I miss
What did
the
Rack
cleric
do?
spell, Rack.
What did Rack do?
Rack, so the flavor of Rack is that it causes the
Which edition was this?
This was 3.5, I believe. It might have just been in 3rd edition, and then they removed it for 3.5. I'm not exactly sure. But it was a cleric spell that was inflict wounds taken to the nth degree. You would like
a torture rack.
Like a torture rack.
Like Spanish Inquisition kind of cleric is what we're talking
but you
about,
would pop out in boils, and they would pop, and open boils would appear on your skin, and your skin would crack and peel and separate, and blood would start pouring from random wounds, and you would scream in this excruciating pain. And then and this would last for a number of rounds, and then you'd be fine. Right? You take the damage, but all of the physical effects would have left.
Wears off, yeah.
Right? And it's...
Meanwhile, the cleric's like sitting back with his arms folded going, that's a nice rack.
Haha. So it's not going there. No, I miss these spells, and you pull from these all the time. We mentioned in the first mailbag episode these ghouls that aren't really ghouls. They're these translucent humans whose skeletons,
the
Nawonian things. Yeah, those were in AD&D and have not appeared since. Why not use them? Right?
Yep, absolutely. And then the last one is just straight up stealing.
Straight stealing.
Yeah, where I could just straight up steal something from 4th edition, and it's going to have powers that activate once an encounter, and then once what was it? Once an encounter, once
a day.
They're encounter, daily, utility, and free.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while since I played 4th.
But anyways, I could pull that directly. You guys are not going to know what's happening. This thing's never going to roll with advantage.
Yeah.
Right? You're never going
At
to...
will. That's what it was.
Well, it was at will, yeah. And you're not going to see some of the things that you're used to seeing. Like, its immunities are going to be wildly different. It's going to have an aura. 4th edition was great for auras. If you ever need to make your dragon scarier, just grab a 4th edition aura that they had for an ancient red dragon, so that if you get within 30 feet of it, you are afraid. Hard stop. There's no save on that. It's frightening.
So that's just basically don't play monks and barbarians if you're going to be fighting dragons?
Yeah, because you got to get close, right?
Yeah.
I mean, well, the monk has a sling.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The barbarian can throw his axe.
Once.
Yeah.
Magic item.
They'll just end up falling in a sewer and flowing away.
But there's nothing wrong with stealing. My only problem with stealing is it's really hard to get the right balance. Yeah. Because it's very different. If you steal directly from Pathfinder, you will now get a monster with a 27 AC. At level 12.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the math is very different. So you can straight steal it if you want. If you want something that's just, like, batshit bizarre. Yeah. If you want to grab something that has come from the outer realms, then yeah, absolutely do that. Mm-hmm. But that's... I'm a fan of all of those things. I'm also a fan of just straight up building something from scratch.
Yeah. And this doesn't just for your monsters, your environs, your traps, all that. It's also for like items, right? Like one of the things you've done very well in the campaign we're running right now, Adam, is you've homebrewed these wonderful items that have such great flavor to them.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why you as a DM out there, or even you as a player out there, can't create this item and workshop it with your DM or with your player that you want to give it to, to be this fantastic.
We can go into the details on items. I don't know if you want to just go around one more lap and we'll talk items instead of monsters.
Let's. I do want to cover.
Let's let Dan have his.
I do want to cover one thing with monsters.
The danger of going last.
One of the things I think. I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit.
Not in public.
Not in front of us. You're not.
Yeah, no. Sit there and enjoy it. Enjoy it.
What's that? Is that a triangle? What was that?
No, anyways, I started a campaign with a bunch of my guys from my guy friends from church, and there was this massive apocalyptic event that happened right at the very beginning.
Of church?
No, of the campaign. Oh. And one of the things I had were
these... technically, in order for...
I must have walked
there's at least a flood. Right?
Yeah. But I created these monsters that I called ashlings. And they descended from the sky. They are made completely of ash. They're something completely different than anything I've ever seen in D&D, really. It hasn't been like these weird, like... Japanese horror film inspired creatures with their jerking movements made completely of ash and fire. The air around them, I gave them this little aura ability. The air around them boiled as they walked through. So
Did they regenerate? Like if you slashed them or whatever?
Yeah, they would regenerate wounds. They would do all this other stuff. And then they were defeated with a cantrip, but we'll get to that later. But basically what I did was I took kobolds, and they were just kobolds, but I reflavored them in such a way that they had these this like internal blaze that was within them, and the party was terrified. Even Adam, who was there, who was playing this character that's just a walking ballista, was tearing these things apart, but they kept on getting close to him, and he kept on noping out from every single situation because they would just continue coming on, because if you didn't kill them, they were basically at full hit points on the next turn. Yeah. So
yeah, but I wouldn't say that was necessarily a reflavor. You rebuilt them from the ground up.
And I'm saying that's what you could do. Like, I used the kobolds as inspiration. I stole the ideas of kobolds, these small little chittering creatures.
It's kobolds and not Mephits. Mephits really lean into the, like, half-elemental...
They were too small.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I wanted it to be small or medium-sized. I eventually wanted it to be a plague that had
I think 5th Ed Mephits are small.
Are they?
Yeah.
I think they're tiny.
No, we don't have diminutive anymore in 5th edition, right?
I know, but we still have tiny.
Yeah, so we still have tiny, but there are very, very, very few things that are tiny. Because it's like cat and down. And Mephits, I believe... I mean, I can look it up right now.
Bring that up, David, bring that up.
Goddamn David.
All my books are over here.
Don't drop the boom, David. Just type.
What did we just say?
What did we just say?
Okay, so that's me. Like, you can take inspiration from these monsters and things and add different attributes, pull things. Like, if you want kobolds that all have wings, give them a fly speed. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? Just try to temper your expectations a bit. I know a lot of people are really like, oh, suddenly you're giving kobolds the ability to fly. Well, they're still quarter CR, right?
So
8
some
CR.
of them can fly.
Some of them can fly. But you give them wings, they're probably not that graceful with them. So use that, right? Like, as long as it makes some sort of sense, it's fine. And of course, don't be like, oh yeah, this is my iron golem that now is immune to all physical and magic damage. Ha ha ha.
No, I mean, I'm totally fine with that as long as you have some way to cave in the...
Yeah.
The
Fine, you
roof
can
on
have
it.
just some of them. I'm kind of reminded of like the ants of Ants, that
Yep.
movie, Christopher Walken. Yep.
Yeah.
Who else is in that? Sylvester Stallone,
Yeah,
And-
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen,
He was the main one.
and was it like Jennifer Lopez or something, or Halle Berry?
It was something super 90s.
Yeah.
But, okay, Mephits are small now.
Oh, wow, okay.
And the reason that I went, I'm surprised you didn't go with the elemental, just as a sidebar here, is we have dust, which is kind of air, kind of earth. We've got magma, which is kind of earth, kind of fire. We've got mud, which is kind of earth, kind of water. We've got smoke, which is kind of fire, kind of air. And steam, kind of air, kind of water. Right? And Mephits are great for, like, blending that.
Yeah, it would have been really good to pull from those.
I like
I
those.
didn't even think
Well,
Mephits when I threw them on the
there you
field.
go.
To be fair, though, these I'm reading the stats for them right now. This is not what you had.
No.
Right? But yeah, there's a fun little monster that we don't play
I
with
like
enough.
that.
The other one is ice, which is kind of water, kind of cold.
Kind of water, kind of. I would guess you would
Earth?
say. I would say earth because it would be bludgeoning.
Yeah, and you can walk on ice, right? Like,
No.
yeah, okay. All right, I'm with you.
Yeah, but so the moral of the story: use Mephits.
Yeah.
No, the
That's
moral,
it, that's the whole podcast.
the moral of the story is there are multiple ways to reflavor or reskin
Yeah.
or adapt different monsters to get kind of a similar effect that's still radically different.
Yeah. Could we say like you are allowed in quotations to do this? Like this is.
Yeah, I will
this is-
straight up give you permission to go steal
Yeah,
shit.
this is a common practice.
If anybody asks you, why are you stealing my copyrighted material? You can say, Dan sent
Dan.
me to go do this.
Yeah,
Dan from
and my
Canada.
email is or my Instagram handle is of course at Rusty Styrofoam. I also answer the at Send Noobs D&D.
I'm glad you do because I don't.
I keep sending you messages.
It's like you don't love us anymore, Terry.
Anyways, you want to talk about items?
Yeah, let's go around again and talk about items. Where we pull it from.
Do we want to re-roll
We
initiative?
can re-roll initiative if you want.
Good
I'm feeling good actually.
16.
What's this one down
15,
here?
15.
My old
We gotta
eyes.
re-roll.
We have to roll for a second.
Natural 20 and a 2.
Natural 2.
All right, but I'm still going first.
Yeah.
So
That is the second time I've rolled a natural 20 on the tie to go second.
on the tiebreak, this is also the first time that you guys have tied.
Oh, high five.
So, so we're talking about how to reflavor items.
Reflavor, reskin, adapt, steal, whatever.
Yeah, my least favorite thing in the Dungeon Master's Guide is the fact that absolutely everything is a potion or a wand, and I don't understand why. Why can I not take this potion and make people fall in love with me and turn it into a cookie?
Yeah,
Or why can I not turn it into a perfume?
yeah.
Right? Like,
Or for like a bard or something.
yeah, right? So there could be... and I do that a lot. Right? The idea of I will just go through my spell list in the back of the player's handbook or in Xanathar's, and I go, oh, that's a neat utility spell that's kind of fun. Enlarge is one of my favorites. And reduce and enlarge, right?
Yeah.
Why would I not give that to a stool? So you can always carry a chair around.
Yeah. I like your magic items because it's not always, in fact, it's very rarely clear what it's actually going to be used for. Like we'll do detect magic or whatever, and you're right. It's like this giant throne is magical. We're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
we can do that.
So I'm sitting there and I'm going through it and I'm reading all of these, like, I think there were gems that, or tiaras or headbands or circlets and stuff that give you a boost to your mental stats, right? And I'm sitting there going, well, why don't we make this actually like you get advantage on all of your mental stats if you sit in this throne. You're super charismatic, you're very intelligent, you're very wise. You are a good ruler when you're sitting in the throne. However, I'm also going to throw the flavor on that you're egotistical because you're a good ruler.
Yeah.
And all of your physical stats suck while you are sitting in the thrones. Just why not? It's not going to matter so much until someone throws a fireball at you and you're at disadvantage from the throne.
It goes like Kingslayer, and then you're not going to escape. Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm like, that's kind of neat. But what do you guys do with this throne? I don't know. I'm going to throw it in a bank vault and see what happens when you guys get it.
That's up to the players. And that's what you do very well as well. Like, it's that whole idea of what are we supposed to do with this? You're like, I don't know, do whatever the hell you want with it. I just made it. I thought it was fun. There you go. It's in the world. Do what you want.
Yeah, my favorite go-to magic item that I've ever seen is this. It's a vase or a vase, depending on how you pronounce it, where you can put a single flower into it. And while you do, that flower stays alive for eternity.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, the vase can be broken. And if you pull the flower out, then it will age normally from that moment forward until you put it back in. What is this for? What is this nonsense item for?
What is it for?
And I was sitting there going, I'm going to add some romance to this. I'm sure that people are going to want to hand flowers to their NPC beloveds, right? And both Terry, you and Jamie, who was also playing, you guys were both courting NPCs over months and months and months. And you guys had this sitting in your bag of holding, and it didn't occur to either of you to give this, like, a flower, a rose inside this too.
My betrothed was quite aggressive.
That's very true.
And we went almost like Basil and Sybil Foldy, where I was actively trying to escape her a lot of times because she was very aggressive.
Yeah.
So it didn't occur to me to
And the other one was dating a dragon.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So it's like, they could have given the rose, but really it was a half-orc and a dragon. Both of them been like, eh.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking that Kogu, the half-orc, would have been like, what is this? What is this for?
Yeah.
What can I drink from it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, throw the flower
Or
away.
just
and, like,
assumes
it's
that
a
she
cup.
can drink from it, and then later on I would see her drinking from it.
Whereas I think that it would have been absolutely fantastic. That is the perfect kind of item in a dragon's hoard.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I often think about, why would someone make these items? Just all of these +1 items and stuff. And why are we all focused on combat? There are so many wands of fireball, and necklaces of fireball, and amulets of health. And don't you think anybody's just like, I wish I could just walk faster?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I got to put on this ring that lets me get an additional 5 feet of movement. And I know that that's normally a boots thing, but maybe I also want to walk up walls and have boots to spider climb.
Yeah.
So I have no problem swapping out kind of your equipment slot or changing the item itself, but keeping the spell or the flavor of it. Because the flower was gentle repose.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Of course.
So I'm like, why not have this permanently enchanted on this little receptacle? And that's where I come from on magic items, right? I sit back and I go, what is a spell that I like that never gets used, or what kind of spell do I wish existed? Which is why you guys get things like Minor Wish in 5th edition, which doesn't exist anymore, right? That you guys got items with Minor Wish. You guys also got items with Restoration. There's not just lesser or greater. I actually created Restoration.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a middle ground for that as well.
You gave me a sword that literally absorbs souls.
Yeah.
That's not a thing that typically happens.
But you really think it ought to be with that many necromancers walking the world? Like, why do we not just have I knight you with this sword and it eats your soul?
Yeah. You gave me a sentient sunblade and then a set of armor that silences sentient items.
No, that is only mostly what happened. You gave yourself a sentient sunblade.
Yeah, actually I did. Yeah, that's correct.
Because you took it from Curse of Strahd, and we flipped over into this. You stopped being the DM. You became the player, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to keep this sword. This is kind of awesome. And you ran around with it, and you were just like talking to the sword more than you were talking to anybody
so
else.
mad all the time. I was like, "Fucking Keith!
Yeah, every time
answer me, you bastard!"
But then you also got cursed armor, which also had a voice. But I'm like, can you be attuned to 2 sentient items at the same time? I don't see why not, but I'm going to make the armor slightly more powerful. So the moment that you don this, and you're not allowed to take it off, that was worked into the contract, right? You're not allowed to take this armor off, and you get a level of warlock because you made a deal with the devil to get it. So you no longer get to hear your sword. It's still talking to you, and I forget how we figured that out.
We gave it to the ranger. I was like,
and she
this
attuned to it,
stupid
yeah.
thing, and then she talked to it. Yeah.
I
Took
like
it back.
I like to throw a lot of intelligent items in my campaigns as well.
There's an irony there.
I'll make, haha, you're hilarious. But I'll typically make them more malevolent than beneficent. They
Beneficent? Isn't it benevolent as well?
Beneficent, I believe, was Angelina Jolie.
no, that's
in that.
maleficent.
No, that's the first word you said.
No,
No,
it's malevolent.
It's malevolent.
Anyways, I'm moving on.
Okay.
So I've had an item that is going to pop up in every single one of my campaigns for the rest of time called Tetanus. And Tetanus is a great sword that is
Like, just a fantastic sword.
it's a fantastic sword, but it is also
That
the
stacks blocks.
stat blocks. I hate you guys.
I'm
I'm just
so sorry, man.
trying to just
Please
answer
just
me.
go.
I'm on a
Just go.
tenuous thread here, and you guys are just all like, poke, poke. No, so it's on a great sword. Tetanus was created on a whim when we were running the Temple of Elemental Evil way back in the day. And there is a rusty great sword in the module that's just embedded in the ground at the bottom of this big chasm. And the character grabs it, and it's literally in the module. It's a rusty great sword. So I wanted to have something special with that thing. So I made it a magical weapon that is just cursed with decay and disease. And all it wants to do is infect, right? So, when you're making your own magic items, especially intelligent magic items, you got to realize that a magic item or an intelligent item has a purpose to exist, and it's not just for bloodshed.
yeah, they always have a motivation.
It has a motivation, and it's usually something incredibly specific.
Yeah.
So, like with Tetanus, it needs to infect as many people as possible. So, the way I did it was he would hit, and if every single time the player would hit with this sword, the monster would be rolling a save. And if the monster failed its save for this disease, the next time the player went to swing, the sword wouldn't let him, or would try to impose its will to make him hit something else. Right? Because that thing's infected. Now I don't need to hit it again. Let's move on to something else.
Oh, right. Okay, I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
So
It's like the zombies that like bite you, and then you wait 10 seconds, and they're no longer trying to eat you.
yeah.
Right, like
Yeah.
it's like between the first bite and the last bite, they have like a time lapse that if they don't get a certain number of bites in, if you're not dead by bite number 4 or within 15 seconds or whatever, then you're a zombie and they're disinterested, right?
Yeah. I had a player in my last campaign that I DM'd that had tetanus and swung it at 3 things, and those 3 things
I wanted to clarify what you did for me.
had the sword tetanus.
So this was a sensitive subject for him because he actually had
No,
tetanus?
had the sword tetanus. I gave him the sword tetanus. He was a barbarian, perfect person for the sword. And the 3 things he had managed to hit with it were either immune to disease or had made their save. So I never got to play with this, and then he got killed by one of my other players, Adam.
Oh.
It was not my fault.
Was it your fault?
It
100% was his fault.
It was not what...
He keeps on throwing me under the bus, saying, "No, this is all Dan." I'm like, "No, I gave you an evil cursed gauntlet as well."
Oh, well, you...
And Adam goes, "Sweet, it's a cursed gauntlet. What if I killed the party?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure. Let's roll with it. Let's try to figure this
Legitimate
out."
question.
Right?
Isn't that what a character's going to ask when you're possessed by an evil god?
I feel like I ask that question after every long rest.
Yeah.
Just anyway.
I ask that person whenever I'm stuck in a room with both
Terry,
of you.
it's your watch. It's in the middle of the night. What if I killed the party?
You're not even a rogue.
Just gonna slowly drive my sword into the gnome, just right over here, and that threat's gone. But yeah, so I strongly encourage DMs, even if there's not a rule that might necessarily fit, or as Adam was saying, like flavoring with certain spells that you don't really see all that often. Build your own magic items, man. Like put it in.
Well, what's interesting here that I want to point out is there's a common thread between what I do with mine and what you've done with tetanus, and that is I want the sword tetanus. Is you take this item and you go I want this effect, but why is it this way?
Yeah.
Like what are the mechanics that I want, and do I justify it?
Yeah.
And then once I've justified it, are there any other side effects? Right? And you can, if you keep asking why, like who built this item?
Yeah.
Right? Where did this come from? How did it gain sentience?
Right.
Right? Every sentient item has a story. You had a doorknob. Which is
Oh, is now the time to bring up the Knobgoblin? Are we finally going to bring up the Knobgoblin?
Let's bring it up now. I'll do my turn after this story because
all right. So
fuck this goblin, man.
There was a doorknob which opened absolutely any door, and it didn't matter which, like if it was a cupboard or a portcullis or whatever it was. This doorknob, if you put it in, it would unlock it. And you'd be able to open it up.
Being me, I abused the shit out of this item.
Well, it was funny because I let one of the other players in on it ahead of time, and he knew that it had exactly 7 charges, and he burned through the first 6. But you sat there and went, we could pick the lock, but let's just use
that's
the knob.
right. Yeah, he did hand it over to me.
Yeah, and he burned through it all, and then he handed it to you and he goes, here, you use it for a minute.
And then ran away to Australia like a bloody coward.
So you used it, and then all of a sudden, the doorknob itself started to grow in your hand and get warm, and you threw it downstairs. And as it went, it got bigger and bigger and bigger until it became a very, very pale flesh color, like human flesh colored goblin.
Yeah.
Buck-ass naked with an 8-foot beard.
Like Voldemort in the train station. Spoiler alert, whatever, you're fine, shut up.
And this was called the Knob Goblin. And his backstory goes that...
Get it? Because he's a goblin that's also a knob?
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't get that before.
So, also it's fun to say Knob Goblin.
It's fun to say Knob Goblin, yeah.
Yeah, I now refer to mine as the Knob Goblin. Hey, get over here and get Knob Goblin, all right?
Best friends with the pants troll.
Yeah. So anyway, the backstory for this Knob Goblin was the fact that he was a thief. He was a goblin thief that went to go steal from a wizard, and the wizard was so pissed off that this goblin thought that he could actually steal from such a powerful wizard himself, right? So the wizard cursed the goblin. There were 3 curses that were put on it. 1, if you like stealing items so much, become an item. 2, you've wasted my time, so I'm going to waste yours. And so every time... once you've been used a certain amount of times, you're going to come back to life. But every time you die, you'll be reborn at dawn the next morning and still remember everything that's happened to you. 3, I hate that you were unaware of how powerful I am. So now you're going to be aware of absolutely everything. What you guys never figured out was the Knob Goblin actually had, it was a plus 30 to perception.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he just knew everything that was going on around him. Even in knob form. So he actually has a whole bunch of answers that nobody ever thought to ask him. But he sat in like a dragon's horde.
I told him to shut up so much and just go away. I just killed him immediately.
Yeah, he was in a dragon's horde for 10,000 years. He's been thrown around from reality to reality. He existed in the real world. He knows what airplanes are. Like, this poor Knob Goblin has lasted an eternity as a doorknob, and then shows up, and he invariably dies within 24 hours, and then comes back screaming into the world at 6 a.m. But the curse is that the person that used him the last time, it has got to be within 20 feet of where he comes back, right? So every time that you would go to bed, you would wake up at dawn the next morning to a goblin screaming its way into reality.
With a heavily pregnant wife.
Yeah, and she was displeased.
A heavily pregnant half-orc barbarian wife.
And the first time that this happened, the first time that he appeared at the bottom of the stairs, he just looked up at you and went, "Kill me!" And so you stabbed him in the throat, thinking, there we go, that's it. And nobody thought anything of it. And then the next morning, he comes screaming into existence, and he's naked with his 8-foot-long beard that covers his
gobble junk. His knob goblin? His goblin knob?
His goblin noids.
Yeah, okay. The knob goblin knob. Yeah.
And so he came screaming into the world, and you just went, "Oh my god, I don't want to deal with this," and you murdered him because you wanted the long rest.
Just had a loaded crossbow at the side of the bed ready to
go. But he actually became a pretty constant NPC.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because every dawn he comes back screaming into the world no matter what happened to him.
Which, he's got all of these boons. Like, he knows things, and he's got this great perception and whatnot. He's also comedic as all hell. But also, if you are doing a long rest in a dungeon and you are trying to be stealthy, or you are stealthing in at the crack of dawn, we will run our mission in to infiltrate the. No, there's a goblin screaming into existence.
And if you're in tunnels and you're not sure what time it is,
yes.
Well, you soon find out when it's 6 a.m. 6 a.m., guys.
Adam recently told me something to consider with our next characters, and I hope this is okay to say.
Yeah.
Is our 3 characters for the previous campaign that were kind of put on pause.
This is my favorite thing about the Knob Goblin right now.
We were all turned to stone and buried under a city. Yeah. Right? Or the city was rather dropped on top of us in stone form. But we've all been aware of time passing. Oh, shit. And we've been aware of everything.
20 feet of me.
Every day for the last
17 years.
Into the rubble. God. So he comes screaming into existence and bursts because there's no room. So you're... every day. And you guys can... Those of you with dark vision, so not you.
No.
Because you're human. But the other 2 can actually see the bits and pieces, the blood dripping.
Just
and
building up.
Yeah.
Every day.
So Adam's like, just think of what your crazy old man... Dragonborn would think after 17 years of just seeing this knob goblin slowly oozing through the rubble right up against his face, because of course we're buried.
And it would just keep building up and building up.
And this is the only thing that you can actually perceive, because you're buried under piles and piles of rubble. This, to me, is an interesting magical weapon.
Yeah.
Or item, right? So there you go. And the other thing, too, that is canon is when you kill it, the body still exists, right? So there are thousands of dead goblin bodies. Naked, bearded, dead goblins underneath this city.
Oh, geez, because your year in the campaign is also different.
It's also, 595 days.
To a year.
Yeah.
And it's been 17 years.
Yeah.
Woof. That's a lot of goblins.
Adam just finds the most creative ways to torture us. Well, that's going to completely outdo my answer, which is I basically look at a character sheet, look at every single box in there, and manipulate something somehow. It doesn't need to be just stats or weapons. It can be anything. It can be languages. It can be personality traits.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great idea. One of my favorite items that I ever saw was a cursed item that made it so that the players, it was a Tower of Babel. They couldn't communicate with each other. They couldn't speak. And so I saw an entire session go by with them having to mime to... They can describe their actions. I'm going to go over there, I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to wave it at this person over here, and I'm going to go over, I'm going to slash that guy over there. But when they had to give each other commands, when they had to talk to an NPC, when they had to ask a question, hey, what was the answer to? They couldn't communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a nice, simple way to do it. And to keep it balanced, just refer to the DMG. You'll notice that uncommon, common, rare items... all have a similar kind of balance to them. They'll use a similar type of die. They'll, there's a pattern to them. And you can just take those for inspiration depending on what level you think the item is. Or how effective you want it to be. But use that whole character sheet. I have an idea for an item that I quite like, which is, most characters will speak 2 or 3 languages. They get to choose 5 languages, but their previous languages that they know removed, and they can't keep any language that they already knew. So all of a sudden your elf can't speak Elvish, Common, or Dwarvish, which they usually speak.
And it's an item.
Yeah.
So what they attune to it...
It's like a consumable item. So it's like a one-time thing. Take it or leave it. And
it's permanent.
Yep. But you're fully aware. It's a choice you make. Unless you can find a way to not use it that way, to put it onto somebody. But, with something significant like that, I'd like to give them at least some chance, You've inspired me now to go through the monster manual and Volos and whatnot and start actually counting the number of languages. Oh, there's loads.
Because there's like 55. Everyone always thinks of Elvish and Dwarvish and Common.
Well, they've cut back a bunch because correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think like Terran, Aqua. I don't think the elemental languages still exist.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Are you sure they're not just primordial now? Because I think they've all just become primordial.
No, primordial is its own thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they still exist. And on top of that, when you're going through the monster manual, you have things like Knoll and Troglodyte.
Yeah, there's loads of monster
and
languages.
Bullywug, right? And these are real languages. Just nobody can speak them.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thinks to take them. And there's no comprehensive list of languages anywhere. So anyway, so the shout out this week is to a person that we have name dropped a few times on this podcast, who I know listens, and we have been we're giving a shout out to many other people that we know in real life, but we've never really said, "Hey Jamie, thanks."
Oh yeah,
Jamie has been one of our biggest supporters from day one. He played in our campaign for the longest time. He is. we haven't played together at this point for like 10 months because they moved to Australia, he and his girlfriend. And I still get messages semi-weekly at this point, which are like, I miss playing in your campaign. When can we do this again? Mm-hmm. Right? And he will ask me, so do you think that my barbarian would have done this in this scenario? Like we still are invested in his characters.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so like I don't know. I've known quite a few D&D players. There's nobody I know that's really quite as passionate about their character as Jamie is. Right? Like, and so it's rare. And I wanted to do a shout out to him.
Yeah.
You guys can follow him and his nipples at.
It's not a joke, folks.
Yeah, at _Canadian_Maple.
Yep, that's it.
And you can watch him flex in a mirror because he's got a fitness.
Yes,
He's a pretty good looking guy. Yeah.
So, but anyway, he's actually secretly a giant nerd, and he is the most opinionated person ever. Also, Jamie, I want you to know that Fat Thor is hilarious, and shut up.
Fat Thor?
Don't worry about it. So,
magic item, Fat Boar.
Fat Boar.
Go.
He's going to be so
Aren't
mad.
all boars fat?
No. Now you have bored me with your puns. So
we ruined Jamie's shout out. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie, for ruining your what? What are we?
Me and Jamie chat quite a lot.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I want to do a shout out to Jamie.
We send each other.
And
butts.
Do you say you send each other nudes?
Butts.
Oh, butts. He just misread your
Just
Instagram
mine,
name
every time. I just pretend it's somebody else.
So yeah, thanks, Jamie, for being a good supporter. Still, even though you're half a world away in the
Chilled.
It's
not jungle enough.
No, it's like above ground Underdark, where everything wants to kill you and you can't survive.
Yeah, Dark Sun, maybe, I don't know.
Dark Sun's fairly accurate. Yeah,
although it's Bright Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max world.
Yeah, it's Tatooine.
Yeah.
Okay,
there we go. Okay, so let's move on to... We've kind of given our personal tricks with regards to monsters and items and things. What about the dangers of homebrewing? Sometimes it just goes horribly wrong. It just goes completely off where you can't control it anymore if you're a newer DM, or it's gone... If you're a more experienced DM, it's gone wildly outside of what you expected or what you envisioned the campaign to become. So what are the dangers of homebrewing and how can we overcome them?
Especially specifically about stealing ideas and adapting.
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
Oh, well,
I didn't actually roll mine because you guys just knocked mine away.
Well, we all rolled 2s and 1s there.
I rolled a 10. So,
all right, Adam. Dangers of homebrewing.
There's no such thing. Everything you do is legitimate and fine. The dangers of homebrewing, when it comes to stealing specifically, we know what the dangers of homebrewing are. It's imbalance, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the number one thing. I would say the follow up would be people getting butthurt.
Yep.
Right, that happens a lot when you're homebrewing. Either someone's getting special attention. Why do they get their own character class and I don't?
Yeah.
Right. So, but besides that, the big danger about stealing ideas is the fact that you're giving it away right from the beginning. If you're doing a straight steal, you're not subverting the stereotype or doing the trope with a twist.
Yeah.
Right. If this is you're going to the wizard's tower to rescue the princess from the dragon. Hard stop. There's nothing else there.
Yeah.
There's no like the dragon was the princess the whole time or whatever nonsense you're coming up with. If you are write that down. It was brilliant.
Oh my god! How does he come up with this magic? The dragon was the princess. Damn.
See, I'm sitting here going the dragon wasn't shape changed into the princess. No, it's a little like 20-foot dragon wearing a silken like
Bowsette.
Disney.
The dragon was Bowsette.
No.
Bowsette, yes, I'm on board with this plan. Bowsette, yes.
Okay, first of all, I don't know what you're talking about. Second of all,
Well, nobody does because it should be Bowsette, but whatever. We'll move on.
okay, and no, not 20 feet tall. It needs to be a gargantuan like monster.
Yeah.
In a silken dress with a little handkerchief.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Thank you for rescuing me, adventurers.
The handkerchief is like the size of
It's like a tarp.
It's 6 blankets sewn together.
The tapestry.
No, but
Whoops.
But
See the bard bend over.
well then,
Goodness.
that's how a dragon seduces a bard. So the point that I was trying to make was Dan's just killing himself laughing. You can't see it. Terry's got his face in his hands, shaking his head, and Dan is just turning pink.
I tried to do a legitimate podcast for you guys. I was like, no, we'll talk about D&D.
We are 23 episodes in. Any hope of this being legitimate has gone out the fucking window.
It's gone. It's gone. All we do is just go completely off topic, rag on Dan, then rag on me, rarely rag on Adam, and then we're just corrected.
Why are we not tag teaming Adam?
It's because Adam gets there first. And
Whoa,
then we just get
phrasing! Holy shit, Dan.
And then the internet rags on us for getting everything wrong. Great podcast, you're wrong about everything. That's not how you pronounce this made up word.
It's funny, nobody ever sends me those messages. Anyway, the point is, if you're going to do the straight trope with that you've stolen a thing, and it doesn't matter if you've stolen it from Lord of the Rings or Star Trek or an old sword and sorcery novel, like a pulp book that no one's heard of except you and your friends. If they recognize it, you're dead in the water as a DM, because the moment the players get bored with your storyline, they're going to run roughshod over your shit. Mm-hmm. They're going to say, "Oh, you know what? We're supposed to go rescue this princess. Let's murder the princess.
Yeah.
Let's get to the tower and burn it down just to see what the DM is going to do next."
Yeah.
Right? So one of the big problems with stealing is you got to learn how to camouflage your shit pretty well. Mm-hmm. And I often, myself, I camouflage it so well that I turn around. Dan said earlier, Adam gets the car and is like, "Hey, how can nobody recognize this?" I bury stuff deep in my campaign. You guys fought pygmies.
Yeah.
And they were running around and wiping you guys out en masse, and they appeared from the jungle with their
blow darts they had.
They had blow darts. They had little crude weaponry and whatnot. You guys were fighting Ewoks.
Of course we were.
But I buried that so deep behind the pygmy lore.
Should have seen it. I was expecting the castle to be the Death Star, and we were going to burn it down / blow it up. So I was looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you were. But there was, I often start in one place and have to camouflage it and bury it. And when I camouflage it, I then think, why is it camouflaged this way? And then I extrapolate from that why. And now I'm just building from here. And I'm creating, and it's less about reflavoring at that point, less about stealing, and more about just taking an idea and adapting it, keeping 2 or 3 core pieces the same, and moving on. Because I know straight up, if I say, "Hey," and then there's this one thing, everyone else is going to go, "Oh, no, that's boring. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that." Yeah. And
you know what? It's incredibly challenging to do as well, to be able to camouflage your references or whatever it is you're doing in a campaign, camouflage even the main story. I read an article today that's like, if you are trying to get your players to solve a mystery, always put minimum 3 clues that lead to a point towards that mystery or that story. Mm-hmm. Because your party's going to miss one, they're going to misunderstand another one, and on the third one, they're going to get it. So, always add 3 of these little clues in every single time you're trying to build towards a mystery. And I find a lot of D&D campaigns have mystery involved in them in some way, shape, or form. Like, you're trying to find a thing that is lost. You are trying to solve a murder. You're trying to figure out why this guy is doing blank. It's just put in at minimum 3 things to hook your players in with all certainty. I know there have been times in the current campaign where we have failed utterly at figuring out what's going on. Like the death houses, pleasures. That comes to mind.
I think what Adam's trying to say is he's trying to build it so that we don't realize what's going on.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it so that you don't get it. But
what I'm cautioning is don't build it so deep that your players get lost in it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Dan, in what you're saying with regards to clues as well. Don't get so set on one thing. Mm-hmm. If the clue is in the drawer on the desk, but nobody checked the desk, but somebody looked under the bed, the clue is under the bed. Okay, just go with it. Yeah, because we're trying to move on. Check your ego. It's fine. I know it says on your notes it's in the drawer. It's not. It's under the bed now because that's where they are. Just give it to them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it should have been a DC 15 sleight of hand check to pick the lock.
Yeah.
If it's just a DC 15 perception check to look under the bed.
Yeah.
Right? You're still having your roll.
Yeah.
Right? So make it what it is.
Pick your battles, right?
And I'm a big believer in not making it so dense and so obtuse that people don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, you'll lose people real fast.
Yeah, it's really walking a fine line. Dan complains to me all the time about how there are so many storylines going on in my campaign that he can't keep track of it. Because I currently have, I think I'm running 35 different storylines. You guys are actually playing through about 3 of them.
Yeah.
But I've got NPCs over here and gangs fighting against guilds over in this city, and I'm telling a big world story, and my world moves on. And you guys, remember back in session 1 for you guys, I was like, build a gang, name the gang, and get a whole bunch of renown as a gang.
Yeah.
This will be important later. And you guys went, okay, our name is the Forbidden, and then you never talked about it ever again, and it went right out the window.
I know. I played a part in that because I was like, because we all got brought together for this mission. My character was like, I don't want to build a fucking gang. I got here 10 minutes ago. I'm doing this for my money. That's it. If someone else is building it, that's fine.
Which is absolutely fine. I had all of this inspiration about gang warfare that I had actually stolen from Batman comics. There's a really good arc called War Games, which takes place. There are a number of different gangs in the city, and someone has set off this battle amongst them. And so I was really going in that direction. And then you guys are like, or we could stick to the jungles for a while and go over and do this, and let's get a pirate ship. And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. Let's do that instead, right?
Yeah.
We did start to build up a following, I guess, but it became more piratey more than like...
Which is fine. You guys had a crew, not a gang.
Yeah,
right?
we're not far from that point. We also kind of got involved in our own personal stories as well, rather than building
which is better than anything I'm going to come up with, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you guys come up with these stories, then I can sit there and go, oh, cool, what's a conflict for this character?
Well, we accidentally made the greatest story arc ever with the Dragonborns.
Yeah.
You really did, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm still terrified for that day.
However, when it comes back to stealing ideas and whatnot, I like to bury the lead a lot of the times and camouflage as much as I possibly can, but not so dense that people don't understand that they're looking at a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of... If you say, welcome to this open room, there are 43 people inside of it, each of them has their own secret, go.
Yeah.
Your characters aren't going to know what the hell's going on. Even though you're like, aha, this is... It doesn't matter who they talk to, it's this one storyline is going to kick off, and I've ripped it off of The Jackal from 1999 or whatever. I think it was 98.
Good movie.
But
I feel like it might have been earlier.
It might have been. Jack Black was in it.
Yeah, he was. I honestly feel like it was like 92.
That was the first time he died in a movie.
No, I saw it in theaters.
Oh, you did?
So, yeah.
Richard Gere still looked pretty good.
He did. Yeah. This is post-gerbil, though, I think.
Pre-gerbil. It had to have been pre-gerbil.
No, gerbil was around for Pretty Woman.
David, look that up.
Yeah,
When did
David.
the Jackal come out?
Google that shit. Google Richard Gere gerbil.
David, use Bing. It's better. Okay, what were we talking about?
Bing that shit, Dave. Bing it.
Shit. Bing it. David, when I tell you to bing it, you bing it, damn it.
All right, so the point is, don't get lost in these in your camouflage, because a lot of times it can take on a life of its own. We all know the trope of you have built this storyline for the barmaid, and you have a storyline for the mysterious stranger in the corner, but everyone's too busy talking to the goblin.
Yeah.
And now what do? Right? And now you have just spent 4 hours role-playing as a goblin that you didn't know existed.
You just have no
Yeah.
idea who they are.
So my point is camouflage, but don't detract, don't distract from the story. If you're going to steal an awesome idea, you're going to put all this time and work and flavor in it, you need to find the right balance.
Yeah.
Right? And that's my problem with stealing and with homebrewing, is finding the balance is hard sometimes.
It is. It really truly
You
is.
really need to be able to read your players.
Yeah.
Which is, Dan and I are giving advice to a new DM right now through a Facebook chat. And our big thing is don't complicate it early.
Yeah.
You have time to complicate it later.
You got to see what they want to complicate.
Yeah.
He's like tossing out these ideas for all these really intricate threads, and we're like, no, stop. Get your feet under you. Figure out who this party is before you start throwing in betrayal threads.
Don't get balls deep into something they're not even going to want to follow, essentially, or not even going to understand because it's too in depth.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's the problem with stealing is these are. Oh, I want to steal the Skywalker storyline. That is a multi-generational complex fall from grace a couple of times and tempted by evil more than once. And people have died and friendships were made and someone was hidden away on a backwater town for 20 years. You can do that. That's too complicated. Right. So don't bury that shit so deep that everyone loses it. So anyway, I got the highest.
I was the next highest.
Yeah.
So what I really want to do is I want to talk to specifically players. Don't feel afraid to go to your GMs or DMs with a great new idea for an item that you want to run with. Like I've had players in the past give me wish lists for their characters. These are the items that I want for my character, right? And I will go through that list and I will take that list and I'll modify it and I'll put different things in different slots or double up powers or try to throw more random items in there and try to give them the items they want, but at the same time give them intriguing and compelling items, interesting items, unique items as well.
Yeah, that's going to change over time too, right?
And
when Jamie created his barbarian, he wanted a Thor metaphor, essentially. And he was all going to be like lightning, because he took a couple levels in Sorcerer to get lightning stuff.
Yeah.
By the end of it, he was shooting fireballs off the back of a dire ram.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he just found some really neat, cool other ideas. And he was engaged to a dragon and his best friend was a goblin. Right? Like, because D&D does that.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I totally get what you're saying about this wish list for magic items.
Yeah.
The only one that I would say really give to them is whatever weapon they want. That tends to be inherent.
Yeah, definitely, give them, but I would be like, if they're asking, well, I want a +5 Vorpal Greatsword, be like, I'm going to give you a Greatsword that is different than a +5 Vorpal. Here's all the mechanical prowess. I'm going to give you one that has history and lore and story to it, right? So that you are not just swinging around a +5 Vorpal Greatsword.
Well, I think
you're swinging around the family blade of the Hobgoblin clan.
I think it's okay to ask for flavor. I don't think it's okay to ask for stats. You can't be a player and be like, I want a +5 sword.
No, I think you can. I think you can. And be like, I eventually, this is what I want to excel at. I want these items to help me excel at. And as a GM, you and your player could sit down and be like, well, how about we give you an Iron Stone? Or well, how about we modify this item to do this instead of just the straight mechanical
I'm a big fan of the things that blur the lines. Like, I want to be able to fly.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not a mechanical stat, but it's also very much a mechanic, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's totally fine for people to ask for that kind of stuff. But I'm a big believer, too, and we'll get there eventually, trust me.
Yeah.
For now, you are level 1, you are proficient with stick, and you are going to die with the first strong breeze. So, no, you're not getting your +5 Vorpal sword, right?
Nice.
Proficient with stick, by the way, is going to be the name of my
autobiography.
I was going to say sex tape, but
that should be, yeah. Or just your
I lost the word.
Your DM guide that you create one day should just be proficient with stick.
Page 1, get a stick. Page 2, beat your players.
Become proficient. Here are a few blank pages for you to write down ideas on how you may become proficient with stick. Look forward to Volume 2, Proficient with Club.
All right, Terry.
We covered a lot there. I guess the only extra point that I would add to what you guys said, I don't have anything particularly radically different, is I use little techniques to help people not to avoid the danger of homebrewing things. If you find like it's going off a little bit, and I've talked about it before, is just have those not so random encounters ready to go. So if you're losing control in your session, you're like, I don't know what to do. A good encounter will last 2 hours. You know, like, you can make them lengthy. We know this, right? So, if you have a particularly awesome NPC or a combat type thing that you've been wanting to do for a little while, you can have a not-so-random encounter to essentially take up some time. Everybody's going to have a good time because you've thought that encounter through, and then when the session's over, you can go away and be like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? But not-so-random encounters that should be well thought out so you know definitely that they're interesting is a good way to help you buy time if you find that you're going off track.
Yeah, I think, especially because there are things like we're talking a lot about stealing ideas and homebrewing and stuff. But one of the things that nobody ever talks about is injecting your own encounters into the modules.
Yeah.
There are entire sections of Storm King's Thunder and Tomb of Annihilation and Horde of the Dragon Queen where you are just walking. Mm-hmm. You're traveling from this city to this city, or from point A to point B. Random shit happens.
Yeah.
Right? Your players have come to the table with these military backgrounds, or they're the prophesized chosen one, or whatever bullshit that they want to bring on any given day. And when they come to the table with this, when do you inject that into the story? This, I think, is where you plan your quote-unquote random encounters.
Yeah.
Right? Your not module encounters. Mm-hmm. And you can steal your ideas, a lot of times, right from the books. One of my favorite places to steal ideas from is Tales from the Yawning Portal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they've got some great rooms and traps and dungeon set pieces in there. That thing is great. One of my favorite tools. I crack that open more than I crack open a Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah, and it doesn't, just because it takes place in a dungeon room, a traditional dungeon room, doesn't mean that's where it has to take place. A dungeon room with traps and spells and all that stuff can be Stonehenge.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to have the same effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this, while I'm on Reddit or I'm on Instagram or I'm watching a YouTube video, listening to a podcast, and someone says, "Oh, I had this really cool idea for a trap," and they spew it out, and I go, I didn't like that. Mm-hmm. And it's usually because there's one little strange mechanic involved with it that I didn't like, so I threw the whole damn thing out. Why are we not reworking that? Someone has done 90% of the work for you. Steal it, grab it, and write it down. This is me promoting Dan's way of DMing, right? You don't have to prep. Other people will prep for you, and all you need to do is steal their shit.
Exactly.
So
we call me the lazy DM, and really I'm just the sticky fingered DM.
Yeah.
Like I've really dipped into that.
Sorry, say that again.
Sticky fingered.
I thought you said stinky fingered, and I was going to ask some questions.
Sticky fingered.
Okay.
Sticky finger bandits, right? No, I Home Alone. Anybody?
That was Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York,
and it was Sticky Bandits.
Yeah.
Oh well, whatever. But like, I will go and I will take these things.
Tell him, man.
Really, when it comes to any sort of media thing, I'm just going to rely that Adam and
David,
trust that Adam is
stat
right.
block, wet bandit. Write that down.
Oh man, I'm going to make a random encounter about a wet bandit now.
You just have elemental themed bandits.
Yeah.
So there's a wet one. There's one that's like dirty and covered in dust. That's
just your average bandit.
There's one that is just stinky as all hell, and it's just covered with this gas. And there's one that's literally on fire.
The three of them are all.
Give me the money! Give me the money! Give me the money now! Ah!
So he does it. He's going to set himself on fire. If you don't give him the money.
He's the decoy in the middle of the road. All right, you go out there and hold this alchemist fire. But when we tell you, pull the lid off. Boom!
It's so great.
Oh, we shouldn't laugh.
Anyways, so I don't understand why people put in all this work into building these lists and tables and everything else where you could just, oh man, my party's going to be in a jungle for the next 3 weeks. Buds, go to Tomb of Annihilation and steal their tables.
Did you say buds?
Yes.
Buds.
Your Canada's showing.
God. Yeah. Canada's showing.
Like, go to these different sources and take them. They're already prepped. They're already balanced because they're put together by the guys at WotC. They're at least more balanced than anything you're going to put together when you're a new DM. So use them. Why not?
Absolutely. And when you're not a new DM and you know your party well enough, you can take it and rebalance it as necessary. One of the tools that I use to rebalance against you guys all of the time is I use 2 different numbers for health. There's the average one that is in the book. It says, 79 health, and then a bracket that says 12d10 plus 36 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So what I do is I do that maximum number. The 12d10 plus 36 is 156. But I also have 79. If this is a hard encounter and you guys are having trouble with 79, that monster dies at 79.
Yeah.
However, if you just blow through it because your necromancer decided to banish 2 of the creatures somewhere else and your fighter is...
Shout out to Acra.
Yeah, does whatever a fighter does, and has just like straight up crit 9 times against something with its 400 attacks, and suddenly this is the last monster standing. This one is a quote unquote champion, and I'm going to use the maximum amount of hit points. It just lets the monster live an extra 2 rounds.
Yeah.
and it also lets them probably get off one of their feature attacks.
Yep.
Because a number of times that I would whip out this awesome monster that would rush forward and be dead by the time it dashed into combat. By the time its initiative comes back, it's dead.
Yeah.
And you guys never saw what it was. Oh, that's a scary horse thing. All right. We ran into that a lot with the Demon Keep. You guys were doing SWAT team through 107 different rooms.
Yeah. My fighter crossbow expert just never went into the room. I was like, I like to break stereotypes, and I was like, I'm crossbow expert. I have 3 attacks. I will just ping, and then just hide behind the door.
That's what Dan's doing right now with his character too. Yeah.
I'm kind of shook that that's what Titus was.
Yeah.
A little
Pop,
bit.
pop. I'll stand out here.
Yeah.
And then I know, like, the barbarian. So Jamie was like, "You're a tank. Get in there." Why would I do that? I can be heavily armored.
But the problem was the barbarian also was half sorcerer, so he's like, "You're a tank, get in there. I'm the barbarian. I'm going to shoot it with fireball."
Yeah. And sometimes I would be like, "Wow, that thing looks really scary. I'm going to go right to the back and lie down in my armor and just 3 attacks with my heavy crossbow from here."
Yeah.
So,
Also, in our current party, I'm the guy with the highest AC and the highest hit points, and I'm the gnome.
And you run away,
And I run away from 9. Well, but at the same time, I'm also the one who has died semi-permanently the most. Sorry, Terry.
Sorry, I like to get in there.
And I'm the
here
one
for a
who's
good
had
time,
the most,
not a long time, Dan.
and I'm the one who has the most status effects. So, like, I play this character as kind of a coward, very intentionally, because that's what the world has brought him to.
Yes, you do. But there's another thing that we stole ourselves, right? Dan said, "I want to make a private investigator kind of character."
Yeah.
And I turned to him immediately. I'm like, "What are we talking? Are we talking Dick Tracy? Are we talking Humphrey Bogart?
Murdoch Mysteries?"
Yeah, like nice reference, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like which version are we talking about here? And Dan's like, "Oh, we're gonna go Bogart the whole way."
Yeah.
So we sat down and we worked this, but we stole directly from these old like noir.
We wanted to go very noir with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to the point where I have an animal companion that is a tree because he's Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
Or Baugart. Yeah.
Is that a...
He's my one ally that we purchased at the beginning of the game. I left in Carmenton and have never seen since because we haven't gone back. I'm sitting there, and the other NPC that I purchased with these points at the beginning that Adam gave me is watching my plant. So I've got like 8 points in
excellent use of resources there.
Yeah. That has been sitting inside of my character's hometown from day one. I have no idea what
mine didn't even come into the game until I died. So
yeah, that was something that everybody did where they went and they grabbed NPCs. And here's something that I picked. I'm sick and tired. Here's an adaptation that I make. I hate starting loot. Starting gold and your starting package, that's boring as hell to me. Mm-hmm. Give me a standard camp package and give me the opportunity to get cool magic items. I'm playing D&D to get magic items. And 5th Ed is supposed to be low magic item.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
I'm a big believer in not giving you a +7 item, right? They don't need to be powerful magical items, but you should have a lot of them. I want to see you be creative as all hell with them, right? So I come up with my own shopping list and I weight, is this 5 times more powerful than this, then it's going to be worth 5 points, and the other one's going to be worth 1.
Yeah.
Right? And here, you have 27 points, go shopping.
Go nuts.
Right? So that's one way that I've homebrewed shopping, which I apparently is, I stole the idea of shopping, and I said, here you go. But it's been to great effect. Everybody's really seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And
they've been like highlights of the
You
characters.
got to think
as well.
a lot as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and every person, I've done this now twice. Every person looks at me and goes, I can't choose. Can I have both? I'm like, no, you can, but you'll sacrifice this over here. No! And it's a great big wine fest about it.
Yeah.
So
No, I really wanted my dog. It was incredibly squishy.
yeah, but
Well, I really wanted the plants, and then I was like, this thing's got an AC of
Dog,
12
no way.
and 4 hit points, and oh yeah, it's a tree. I can't just be bringing this potted plant around.
it was
with me
an
everywhere.
awakened shrub, and I love it because the theory is that it steps out on its roots, right, and then it picks up the pot that it has,
Becomes a helmet.
He wears it as a helmet. He runs around, and then he puts it down, and he jumps back in it and freezes, and he camouflages as a
Love
potted
it.
plant.
Yeah, I love this, and he's like complete. He was originally a curse that I've fallen in
The
love with.
necromancer will kill your plant first.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, nothing a little blight can't fix. So.
But the point is though that I looked at the idea of D&D shopping, and I went, in early levels, they say, here is all of these awesome items, here are all these awesome weapons, here's all these awesome magic items that exist in the DMG, and by the way, you have 2 gold. Let's play D&D and let me tell you what you can't have.
Yeah.
And I went, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Right? Let's talk about what you can have and give you the options of choosing fun items.
Yeah, you're still
instead
controlling your own fate.
Yeah.
And it's something that the DM is prepared for.
Yeah.
You're prepared for all of those items to be used.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm stealing the idea and I'm just flipping it on its head. Right? It didn't even occur to me right now that I had stole shopping.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It works.
We're not doing anything with it. All right, guys. Does anyone have any final points that they want to bring up? before
Players,
bringing this
feel
to a
free
close?
to go to your DMs and be like, hey, can we work something out here? Can we try to homebrew something? I think a lot of times a lot of the weight's put on DMs to do all of the homebrewing, and really, players, you're just as creative, just as motivated as your DMs. Let's
Yeah, but don't be afraid to hear no. I mean, you're giving people a lot of permission to have as much agency as possible, which is good. But they got to be ready to hear no, because
Yeah,
you're gonna
well,
have some wacky
ultimately,
ideas.
it's the DM's call whether or not that's going to be in the campaign.
Most players, when given the opportunity to do whatever they want, will min-max.
Yeah, I like your idea, Adam, as well, of just being like, that's a great idea. Let's just hold on to it. Just wait and see.
Yeah, that's a tier 3 idea. We'll come back to it in tier 3.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would. My big caution is, as much as I said, steal monsters, steal items, steal powers and spells from other games and whatnot. Don't steal character classes or subclasses or prestige classes. You're going to imbalance your game so quickly, and there's probably something relevant out there in the 5th ed material, whether it's Player's Handbook or Xanathar's, or Sword Coast Adventures Guide, or Dungeon Master Guide has a couple of classes and races in
It's
it.
easier, I think, to create a background with your DM, which you can add on to one of the existing classes, which will flavor it. And give you a couple of perks, probably, but without throwing off the balance of the entire game.
Yeah, but if you want to play a Skald, for example, from Pathfinder, a Skald is half barbarian, half bard.
Yeah.
You got College of Valor, you got College of Swords, you've got there's some options there.
Yeah.
Right. You can have war cries. You can multi-class. I mean, let's just say that.
Yeah.
We're saying steal, and we're pretty much saying steal whatever you want.
Just don't steal this.
I would really caution against stealing, and even making homebrew classes and subclasses. Everyone that I've seen online, I've disagreed with to some degree.
Yep.
So,
I would agree. All
Terry,
right.
any final thoughts from you?
No final thoughts from me, actually, on that. I covered everything that I would like to cover in this episode, but if you guys are done, I would just like to throw out the opportunity to everybody. We even though we joke, we do like to hear from you and your opinions, which I will undoubtedly ignore, I'm sure. But the other two like to listen to them, and if you have any questions,
We'll validate your opinions.
Yeah, they'll validate your opinions. You can send them out to us. You have us on Instagram. You can reach me at SendNoobsDND. You can reach Adam at
Rusty Styrofoam.
and you can reach Dan at
Oscar the Orc.
and we will see you next time on It's a Mimic. Roll that music.
Thank you for listening to It's a Mimic. Check us out online at itsamimic.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have questions you would like answered by the guys on the show? Send them an email to itsamimic@gmail.com. Tune in every Tuesday for more.
Dave.
Dave.
David, roll the music,
God
David.
damn it. Dave! You're fired.